Hi, I'm Sarah Mitchell. I am a 32-year-old marketing executive with a complicated life behind my successful career. After my father passed away last year, I inherited his estate and investments. It's been both a blessing and a curse. One evening at a family dinner, my mother-in-law, Patricia, said, "Sarah, you should really consider seeing the financial advisor I recommended." She was picking at her salmon, her nails looking perfect. I replied, "Thanks, Patricia, but Emma is handling everything well." When I mentioned Emma, my best friend and attorney, I noticed Patricia's face tighten. Patricia said, "I just want what's best for the family," making me feel like an outsider. My husband James held my hand under the table and said, "Mom, Sarah's doing fine with everything." I reached for my heart medication, reminding myself of my rare condition. Patricia's eyes watched me, always calculating. She commented, "That's such expensive medicine. Thank goodness for your father's inheritance." Later that week, during my regular lunch with Emma, I said, "Something's off with Patricia. She keeps pushing about my finances. She's always been controlling, but lately, I trailed off." Remembering an incident. "What happened?" Emma asked. "She reorganized my home office without asking. She said she was helping, but she moved all my important documents." Just then, James's younger brother Michael joined us unexpectedly. He seemed nervous. "Hey Sarah, how are you doing? Is everything okay?" he asked. "Yeah, I'm fine," I replied. "Just be careful with the family documents. Mom's been asking weird questions about your inheritance." Later that day, Patricia's friend Diana came by our table. She said, "Sarah, those charity event photos were lovely. Your father would be so proud." Then, she lowered her voice and added, though Patricia had some interesting comments about them. That evening, James brought up the charity event and said, "Mom thinks we should combine our accounts to make things easier." I replied, "Our current setup works fine." But he insisted, "We're family. Sarah, don't you trust us?" The word trust lingered in the air. I thought about Patricia's growing involvement in our lives, moving my documents, suggesting things about my inheritance, and Robert's silent watchfulness. Emma's words echoed in my mind. Just because they're family doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart. I smiled at James, but for the first time, I felt uneasy despite his warm expression. "Of course I trust you," I said, but inside, I wasn't so sure. "I just prefer keeping some things separate," I said firmly, though James's smile didn't reach his eyes. "I simply won't sign over my inheritance." "James, that's final." I stood my ground during another tense dinner at Patricia's house. "You're being ridiculous, Sarah. We're talking about securing our future," James said, but his face hardened. "Our future? Or your gambling debts?" I shot back. Michael, James's younger brother, suddenly spoke up, breaking the tension. "What did you just say?" I turned to James, but he couldn't look me in the eye. Patricia's smile turned sharp. "Really, dear, with your condition, wouldn't it be safer if James managed everything?" I reached for my heart medication, but it wasn't there. "Where's my medication?" I asked, panic rising in my chest. "Oh, those old pills? I cleaned up earlier. They were expired, dear." "They weren't expired. I just filled that prescription," I snapped, feeling a wave of panic. Everything after that was a blur. The room spun, and James's voice sounded distant. "She's being hysterical again, Mom." I woke up in the hospital, Emma clutching my hand. "Thank God you're awake. Sarah, you've been out for 2 days." "Emma, something's wrong. They're planning something." "I know," she said, pulling out her tablet. "Look what I found." She showed me emails between James and Patricia. "Once we prove she's mentally unstable, your inheritance will transfer automatically." Before I could react, Michael appeared at the door, looking pale and worried. "I heard Mom and James yesterday. They're planning to force you to sign everything over." "Sarah, James has done this before," Michael added quietly. "His first wife, Caroline, she had a big inheritance too. She lost everything." Diana, Patricia's friend, slipped into my room after visiting hours. "Sarah, honey, I've been gathering things, photos, recordings, conversations from parties, the way Patricia's treated others. You're not the first, but I'm making sure you'll be the last." She looked at me with determination. "I've been doing some digging. James isn't just gambling, he's committing fraud at his firm, using client money to cover his debts." I thought about all the signs I had missed, the late-night calls, the hidden mail, Patricia's orchestrated meetings before we even got married. It all made sense now. Patricia had planned this from the start, like a chess game. Michael confirmed. "She picked you because of your inheritance and your health condition. She thought it would make you vulnerable." Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a text from James. "The doctors say you're confused. Let me handle everything." Another text came from Patricia. "Darling, I've scheduled a psychological evaluation for your own good." They were moving quickly now, Emma warned. "They're coming for you, Sarah, but we are prepared," Emma said firmly. "I've already secured your accounts and documented everything about the medication incident." Diana's evidence arrived on Emma's phone, photos of Patricia with James's first wife, Caroline, at social events where they talked about their problematic daughters-in-law, and recordings of Patricia bragging about fixing family issues. I looked out the hospital window, thinking of all the times I doubted myself, all the gaslighting and manipulation. "They tried to kill me," Emma agreed grimly. "They did, but they didn't count on you having real family in your corner. We'll make this right, Sarah, they won't get away with this." "Of course you're right, I should rest more," I said softly, playing the part of the weak, dutiful wife, but secretly, I forwarded his emails to Emma. "That's my good girl," James said, kissing my forehead, not noticing my phone recording everything under the pillow. Later, at Emma's office, she showed me something shocking. "You wouldn't believe what I found in James's cloud storage. Look at these transfers." I gasped. He'd been stealing from his clients for months. Just then, a text from Michael popped up. "Mom's on the warpath. She's calling your boss right now." Minutes later, my boss called. "Sarah, Patricia Anderson claims you're having mental health issues." I replied calmly, "Actually, I've been documenting everything, including my medical records. Would you like to see them?" My boss responded, "Please do. And Sarah, she's tried this with other employees before." Then Diana's voice message played. "Darling, Patricia's telling everyone you're unstable, but don't worry, I've been sharing those lovely videos of her at charity events. Everyone is seeing her true colors now." I met Michael at a cafe, away from the family's eyes. "James lost big again last night," he whispered. "He's desperate, taking bigger risks with client money." "How much?" I asked. "Millions, and Mom's involved. She's been helping him hide it." My phone buzzed. It was Emma. "I found proof Patricia sabotaged your Marshall account presentation. She called them directly. That deal was worth millions. My whole team lost their bonuses." The truth was spreading fast through Patricia's social circle. Then, a surprise visitor arrived at my office. Robert, my father-in-law. "I can't stay quiet anymore," he said, his hands shaking. "Patricia's done this before, not just to Caroline. There were others, 3 failed engagements before James met Caroline, all wealthy women, all mysteriously unstable by the end. I helped cover it up. God forgive me." My laptop pinged with an email from James's office IT department, responding to Emma's subpoena about irregularities in client accounts and unauthorized transfers. "The SEC would be very interested in this," Emma said over the speakerphone. Diana sent me surveillance photos, James entering underground casinos, Patricia meeting with shady lawyers, and documents being shredded. Time to end this, I thought, watching James sleep. I'd been gathering evidence for weeks, pretending to be weak while secretly building my case. Every "yes, dear, and whatever you think is best" had bought me time. My phone lit up with messages from Michael. "Mom's panicking. The country club rescinded her membership." Diana texted, "Your mother-in-law's mask is cracking. She screamed at a charity board meeting." Emma sent a message, "I got the final proof of embezzlement. It's worse than we thought." Robert also texted, "I'll testify about everything. It's time." I touched my father's picture on my desk. "You taught me to play chess, Dad, every piece in position, just waiting for them to make their final mistake." Then a text from Patricia popped up, "Family dinner tomorrow, important documents to sign." I smiled. They still thought I was their pawn. "Game over," I whispered, sending Emma the signal to start our endgame. "Everything clear?" I asked the movers while they loaded the last box into their truck. "Your new place is ready," Emma confirmed. "James is still at that conference in Chicago," I replied. Perfect timing. I had waited for him and Patricia to be at a critical business meeting, an emergency damage control session with increasingly suspicious clients. Then my phone exploded with notifications. Headlines everywhere. Anderson Financial under SEC investigation. Massive client fund misappropriation discovered. "Turn on the news," Michael texted. I did, and there was James, trying to hide from reporters outside his office building. Breaking news, James Anderson, CEO of Anderson Financial, accused of embezzling millions. Diana called. "Sarah, you should see Patricia. She's at the country club, trying to do damage control." They're literally asking her to leave. I could hear Patricia's shrill voice in the background. How dare you cancel my membership? Do you know who I am? Diana's reply was gleeful. Oh, honey, everyone knows exactly who you are now. Later that evening, my new TV showed more breaking news. James Anderson arrested on multiple counts of financial fraud. Emma burst in. Patricia's liquidating everything to cover James's debts. She's losing the mansion. Michael sent more updates. They've made me interim CEO. Mom's hysterical. She keeps saying it's your fault somehow. But I never reported anything. I smiled, knowing their own greed had done them in. Weeks passed, and I focused on my growing marketing firm and my new foundation, Phoenix Rising, which supports survivors of financial abuse. Your story inspired so many, Emma said at our foundation's first meeting. 3 more of James's victims came forward. Diana forwarded a video of Patricia being escorted out of her social club. Your mother-in-law tried charging $50,000 in personal expenses to the charity board account, Diana texted. Robert also sent me a letter. Sarah, I'm sorry I didn't stop them sooner. James got 15 years in prison, and Patricia lost everything trying to save him. You were stronger than all of us. One day, my assistant rushed in. Miss Mitchell, you won the Community Leadership Award. That evening, I took the stage and said, success isn't just about money, it's about surviving, thriving, and helping others rise. Later, Diana texted, Patricia watched your speech from the community center TV room. She looked destroyed. I touched my heart medication, knowing my health had improved dramatically since leaving that toxic environment. The final text came from Michael. Mom had to sell her last designer bags. She's asking about James's prison visitor list. He declined to add her. I looked around my beautiful new office at the photos of my foundation's success stories, my marketing firm's growing client list, and the picture of my dad. You were right, Dad. The best revenge is living well. Looking out over the city from my office window, I felt only peace. They were finally paying for their actions, not because of anything I did, but because their own choices caught up with them. I was free, I was thriving, and somewhere in a prison cell and a budget retirement home, they were facing the consequences of their choices. That's the thing about karma, it doesn't need your help, it just needs your patience. What would you have done if you discovered your marriage was orchestrated from the start? Would you have exposed them immediately? Or would you have played weak like I did to gather evidence and let karma handle it naturally? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed my story of survival and justice, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming toxic relationships and emerging stronger. Remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's watching them destroy themselves while you thrive.